In recent years, a relatively unknown communication system called the Internet has exploded in popularity with such intensity that it's predicted that over 25 million people will be using it by the year 1998. There is nothing in the history of the human race that compares to the impact that the Internet will have on how we communicate. The question is not whether you'll become part of that action, but when. Hello, my name is Scott Reynolds. Welcome to Discovering the Internet. In this tutorial, we'll take a look at the differences between the Internet and the World Wide Web. The differences between commercial online services such as the Microsoft Network, Prodigy, or America Online, and the Internet. How to get connected to the web. How to use something called a web browser to navigate the web. What a web page is, and how to search, locate, and download all types of files, from information files to video and audio files. In this first lesson, we'll take a look at the Internet, the World Wide Web, and commercial online services. As an archaeologist, I do most of my research here in my lab with my colleague Kathy. We use reference materials such as these books and journals. Or we used to, before the Internet, that is. The Internet was developed in the 1960s by the United States military, but was quickly adapted by researchers such as myself to pool research information with other scientists from across the globe. The early experimental stages of the Internet's development were primitive and involved only 4 computers. These 4 computers later developed into many more computers, and eventually into something called the ARPANET. ARPANET, later dubbed the Internet, was created for and by the United States Department of Defense, whose assignment was to construct a communication system based on an intricate web of interconnected computers. The Internet, eventually crossing international boundaries, quickly grew into an array of computers interconnected together around the world. Today, it is this physical connection of these thousands of information-laden computers that is the Internet. It's common these days to hear a lot about the World Wide Web and the Internet. But just what is the web, and how does it relate to the Internet? The World Wide Web, or the web, is a highly ambitious project whose goal is to provide an interactive and simple interface to the vast resources of the Internet. The web was developed in response to the difficult nature of the Internet. Not only was the Internet inaccessible to most people, but to communicate on it required a certain degree of computer skill. You needed knowledge of sophisticated Unix computer systems, extensive command lines, and cryptic computer encoding. But just how do the Internet and the web relate to one another? Kathy and I have had this discussion before. My feeling is that the web takes advantage of the Internet's interconnected design and takes advantage of the Internet's system of cables and satellites. But it is totally separate and not a part of the Internet system itself.
Well, as you know, Scott, I disagree with you. Without the Internet, there would be no web, which means they really are part of the same system. You're right about the Internet, though. I like to think about it this way. It's a connection of hardware, wires, and cables, sort of like a personal computer. But the web is really an extension of the Internet. The web, combined with a web browser, is like the Microsoft Windows or the Macintosh operating systems that make it easy for us to interact with our computers. The web makes it possible to easily interact with the once cryptic Internet using the same point-and-click interface we have become accustomed to using with our native Windows or Mac programs. So, my feeling is that the Internet and the web are not separate, but work together in harmony. In fact, the web makes the Internet a simplified, extremely fun, image-laden tool, and much more accessible to the average person.
That's a good way to think about it. I think you better get back to work now, Kathy. Thanks.
Glad to help.
Speaking of image-laden tools, another reason for the web's increasing popularity is the ease in which it accesses the Internet's multimedia capabilities. Using the web, we are able to enjoy picture, video, and sound presentations from all the reaches of the globe. There are museums to visit, an unlimited source of magazines to read, special interest groups that we can join on just about any subject imaginable, entertainment for all ages, capitals to visit, entire countries to see, continents to conquer, and mysterious worlds to find that are all part of the World Wide Web. You have probably heard of some of the more popular commercial online services such as Prodigy, America Online, the Microsoft Network, or CompuServe. If you are a member of a commercial online service, it may seem as if you are on the web, but they are different. These commercial online services work much like the internet and a web combination. You have to dial up and log on to gain access. They both rely on beautifully designed graphics and pages with point-and-click words that you use to navigate. On both commercial online services and the web, we can download files, join special interest groups, chat online live with other users, or view multimedia-rich files. And presently, just about all of the commercial online services offer access to the World Wide Web through something called a gateway service. There are other advantages to using a commercial online service as well. When we log on to an online service, our computer is linked directly to that service. We don't have to make that additional step of accessing an internet access provider, as you do to gain access to the web. There is also plenty of good technical support available, either from the service or from one of the online members. The advantage of the web is that its vast supply of resources is economical. With commercial online services rates, much like cable TV rates, you pay a monthly flat rate, and in addition, there is a per-use rate added on after so many hours of use, or for extra services, such as downloading files. On the web, there are no per-usage fees. Downloading files is free, and you can do anything and more on the web that you can do on a commercial online service. So why not use the web? Despite the wealth of resources available on the web, many people aren't tapping into it, mainly due to a fear of technology or a lack of knowledge on how to access the web. By the time we finish this tutorial, you will possess the knowledge and skills necessary to tackle many of the mysteries the web has to offer. You will be ready to discover and be a part of a fascinating and historically important phenomenon. That's it for Lesson 1. In this lesson, we talked about the differences between the internet and how it differs from the World Wide Web. We also took a look at the differences between the internet, the World Wide Web, and commercial online services. In Lesson 2, we will get busy. We'll look at a very crucial step in getting your personal computer hooked up to the web, which is finding an internet access provider to connect your computer to the internet. We will also take a look at a graphical browser and learn how to take full advantage of history lists, bookmarks, email, and other graphical browser features. It's the end of the day and I have some work to do at home. Kathy, I'm going.
Oh, Scott, I've decided to take tonight's flight home. Would you mind giving me a ride to the airport?
I don't know.
Okay. The internet and the web are completely different. Happy?
You bet. Let's go.
Okay.
See you in Lesson 2. You know, I love working with Kathy, even though we do get into some pretty serious debates. Thing is, she's usually right. Just don't let her know I told you that. Because the internet can be accessed from any location with a standard telephone line, I do a lot of my work here in my home office. In Lesson 2 of Discovering the Internet, we are going to learn how we can get connected to the World Wide Web over your personal or home office telephone line. We'll also learn how to use something called a web browser to navigate the web. In order to gain easy access to the web, there are 3 basic items that we'll need to have: a computer with a modem, a connection to the internet through an internet access provider, and a browser that allows us to interact with the web. Finding the right computer is fairly easy. Just about any computer we purchase or own today would be more than capable of accessing and navigating the web. However, what type of modem we use is much more critical. let's talk about computer modems. There's a vast array of phone lines, computers, satellites, software, and other unseen obstacles that we go through to access the internet. The computer modem is by far the slowest connection in this chain. A modem is a piece of equipment that is attached to our computer and connects to any standard telephone jack. The modem has the task of converting all of the computer code that leaves our computer into telephone language. We need a modem to connect to the web. How fast our modem can convert information between the web and our computer will determine whether we have to suffer long, excruciatingly slow jumps between web pages, or whether we have the ability to leap around continents with lightning speed. Modems come available in several different speeds or baud rates, 1200 baud and lower on up to 28.8. The baud rating on a modem indicates how fast it can transfer data. The slowest speed we should consider for navigating on the web is a 14.4 baud modem. Anything below that speed will still work, but is probably much too slow. It's kind of like waiting for a slower dot matrix when you are used to a laser printer. If possible, get a 28.8 modem. Faster modems don't cost all that much more, and for most web browsing, it's well worth the investment. Now, maybe you're not the technical type or have neither the desire nor the time to figure out computers and baud rates and stuff like that. Well, most people don't. That makes spending the time looking for a good full-service internet access provider an important first step. An internet provider can help to select the appropriate computer and a modem, but more importantly, can properly connect your computer to the web. Let's take a closer look at why we need an internet access provider and how to find the right one for our needs. If you own a computer already, or even if you don't, you are probably aware that there are many different computer formats, and most are not compatible with each other. An internet provider is designed to get these incompatible systems to work in harmony and communicate effectively within the environment of the internet. They are the computer language interpreters of the internet. There are several computer language interpreters, or protocols, that internet providers use. SLIP, CSLIP, or the most current PPP, meaning point-to-point protocol. PPP is likely to become better supported and more popular than SLIP and CSLIP in the future. However, currently more software and internet access providers support SLIP and CSLIP. In your search for an internet access provider, you should ask if they provide a SLIP, CSLIP, or preferably a PPP account. And in addition, if they have an email server for using the email features of the web, a news server for subscribing to news groups, and if they can accommodate your modem speed or baud rate. Finding a good internet access provider is not hard. They can be found in computer trade journals, newspapers, or by asking at a computer sales or service business. To eliminate phone connection costs, it is best to find a service that is local, or if none is available, one that has a toll-free access number. I subscribe to a commercial online service. As you can see, my service has an Internet Gateway feature that can be used to locate internet access provider lists that are located on the web. An extensive list of hundreds of internet access providers can be located by doing a search for Internet Access Providers. We'll talk about searching the web with web searching tools later in this tutorial. Having access to the internet is only half the journey to getting on the web. Once we have made the physical connection, we need to have a graphical browser, or as it is usually called, a web browser. A web browser creates the point-and-click environment that makes the web so easy to use. Like Kathy mentioned earlier, a web browser is like a Windows or Macintosh operating system. It allows us to interact with our computer in a user-friendly way. Earlier today, I saw an interesting photograph on the web, and I would like to get a copy of it and share it with Kathy. I'll sign on, take a look at some of the features of a popular web browser, and at the same time, download that photograph to my computer. I close out of my commercial online service and begin by double-clicking on my World Wide Web folder to open it. I am using the Windows 95 desktop. Your operating system may look and function differently. I will also be using my local internet access provider, Slip PPP account, and one of the more commonly used web browsers called Netscape Navigator. In this tutorial, I will be using Netscape Navigator. You may use another version of Netscape that looks slightly different, or another browser altogether. It shouldn't matter. They all work pretty much the same way. To log on, we start the Slip PPP application by double-clicking on the Slip PPP account icon, and the Connect To dialog box opens. My user name and password information are already entered, so I click on the Connect button, and the Internet Access software uses a script to dial the Slip PPP access number of my Internet Access provider. The modem dials out, their modem answers, and then the script takes over until the Slip PPP connection is established. At this point, we can forget about the Slip PPP application. We minimize the window to get it out of the way. The software is still running underneath or out of sight. We now have a live connection between our computer and the internet. It doesn't look like much has happened yet, but we still have one last step. Next, we need to start our web browser. We double-click on the Netscape Navigator icon. In a few moments, Netscape opens to the Netscape homepage and waits for us to begin our web session. We are now completely connected and are ready to browse the web. Before we search for and download the photograph that I am looking for, let's take a look at some common web browser features. The Netscape menu bar and button features are very similar to other web browsers that are available today. There is a main menu bar across the top of our screen. Below the menu bar are the toolbar buttons. These buttons are shortcuts to many of the more commonly used menu bar options. Below the toolbar is the URL location window. URL stands for Universal Resource Locators. This window contains the URL address of our current Netscape homepage. It is a very long window because URL addresses can be quite lengthy. If you are used to DOS path statements, you should be able to grasp a URL quickly. There is a wealth of information contained in a URL address, and they are easy to read. We'll discuss URLs in more depth in a moment. Below the URL window are a series of directory buttons that are very helpful when you first start using the web. Most of these options are also available inside the directory menu, on the menu bar. To the right of the URL window is an image of an N resting on a globe. This is an activity indicator. When we click on one of the blue words located in a web page, the indicator becomes animated, telling us that Netscape is still performing our last request. An animated activity indicator is like the music that we hear while waiting on hold on the telephone. It's saying, please hold a moment while I perform your last request. And yes, you are still connected. The large viewing area below is where web pages are displayed. A web page usually gives you information about the person or organization that created the page. The web page is the key component to the interactive nature of the web. A page can be adjusted both horizontally and vertically by either clicking on the scroll bar arrows or by clicking and holding the scroll bar itself. A highlighted word in a web page is a hypertext word. We place our cursor over the word download. As we place our mouse over a hypertext word, the progress bar at the bottom of the screen displays the location we will go to when we click on the hypertext word. We click on the word download. The progress bar displays connect, file transfer, and other browsing information, and then the Download Netscape software window opens. To the right of the progress bar is the thermometer bar. This is a different kind of activity indicator. We click on the hypertext word Unix. The thermometer bar gives us an idea of how long our request will take. The broken key to the left of the progress bar becomes an unbroken key when we have accessed an encrypted document. A document that has been encrypted prevents others from accessing any sensitive information we may enter into a web page, such as a credit card number. Security was one of the principal concerns of the Internet when it was first developed by the military. The increased popularity of the web's shopping and banking opportunities has made security a major issue again. Let's continue our tour by getting a little more specific and taking a closer look at a URL address. A URL is a universally agreed upon set of rules of syntax that specify where a resource can be found. Understanding how to read a URL can provide important clues as to whether you are looking for information on the Internet, on the web, or somewhere else. I already know the URL address of one of my favorite archaeological research locations, so I will enter it directly into the locator window. To activate the locator window, I click on it once to highlight it. I type http://. URLs are not only lengthy, but they are case sensitive, so you have to be careful you get the spelling and cases correct. The HTTP in the URL address stands for Hypertext Transport Protocol. URLs that begin with HTTP are web resources. HTTP is the interpretation protocol that we talked about earlier that permits different computers to talk to one another on the web. A URL that begins with HTTP tells us that Netscape will access this web page using the HTTP rules of syntax. URLs that begin with FTP or Gopher are Internet URLs. We'll talk more about searching Internet resources in Lesson 3. To continue, we type the second part of the URL, spirit.lib.yukon.edu/. This section of the address is called the domain, which means location of our web page. URLs and the domains inside them are easier read from right to left. For example, the edu at the right end of my URL's address domain indicates that this location is an educational institution. A .com would indicate a commercial organization. .gov, government. .mil, military. .int, international organization. .net, networking organization. And .org, nonprofit organization. There are many international names as well. An AU added to the end of a URL address would indicate an educational institution located in Australia. Now we type the third part of the URL, arcnet/. And finally, arcnet.html. This URL address is saying, using HTTP protocol, let's go to the computer called spirit.lib.yukon.edu. This computer is at an educational facility located at the University of Connecticut on a computer named Lib. When there, open a directory called Spirit. Then when we get there, open the directory ArcNet and access the document arcnet.html. Forward slashes in a URL address represent a clear hierarchy. Once you understand them, they are as easy to read as a postal address. Email addresses provide the same information. My email address says that I subscribe to a networking organization. My computer server is called Min, and my messages are posted in a folder called Reynolds. My entire URL address is entered, so I press enter, and Netscape begins to search for the location and document. The progress bar at the bottom of the window monitors the status and, when complete, indicates so with a done message. So that I don't have to painstakingly enter the entire URL again, I will flag this page with a bookmark. Bookmarks might be called hot lists in other browsers. On the menu bar, we select Bookmarks and then select the Add Bookmarks option. It didn't seem like much happened. We select Bookmarks on the menu bar again, and we see that our page has been flagged. We talked about hypertext words earlier. Web pages are usually a combination of both hypertext words and hyperlink images. I like this page because it is a good combination of many hyperlinks and hypertext, and it's designed attractively. Next, we click on the image called Museums to hyperlink to the Museums and Research Facilities page. This is another attractive page with plenty of information. Let's flag this page as well. We click on Bookmarks on the menu bar and then select Add Bookmarks. We grab the scroll bar and scroll down the list until we find the Museum of Paleontology at Berkeley. We click on the Museum of Paleontology at Berkeley line. And soon we are welcomed to the museum. We scroll down to the bottom to get a better look. As you can see, hypertext words are always highlighted, but they are not always blue. Sometimes you have to take your mouse and wander around to find hidden hyperlinks. Before we go, we add this page to our bookmarks as well. I already know that the Subway hyperlink contains a map of many interesting resource locations. Let's go that way. We click on Subway. Netscape connects, and we are now welcomed to the subway. We scroll down to see the map better. The subway is one of many searching aids that you will run across on the web. I like this one because it specializes in archaeological resources. We click on the Other Collection Catalogs to go to that location. We scroll down to see this page better. This time our list is categorized mostly by images. This richness of combined media is what makes the web so interesting and fun. We click on the Paleontology image. This brings us to the University of California's Museum of Paleontology webpage. We can see that this is a vast source of information. Let's put this location in our bookmark also. Now we scroll down to about the center of the list until we find the Natural History Museum of Bern, Switzerland, and click on it. You didn't even notice it, but we just crossed into Switzerland. My humble computer is directly linked to the Natural History Museum of Bern, Switzerland, and all of its resources. Now we scroll down to get a better look. In the Departments category, and under Paleontology, we click on Overview. And we are at the Earth Sciences Paleontology window. We scroll down once again to about the middle of the page and select Important Single Objects. Let's bookmark this page also. We click Bookmarks and select Add Bookmark. We scroll down one last time to the center of the page and we have found our image. A reconstruction of the skeleton of a megalosaurid Cretaceous. It's a great image. Let's get a closer look at it. We click on the left image and we see it full screen. The PAL350.gif file name that we see in the URL window indicates that image is named PAL350. The .gif extension indicates that this is a GIF image that needs to be viewed with a GIF viewer application. On the web, a viewer application is called a helper app. Helper apps are needed to view photos, listen to sound, and watch a video. We will take a look at helper apps later in this tutorial. Right now, I want to save this image to my hard drive so that I can refer to it later when I am off the web. On the menu bar, I click on the File menu and select the Save As option. The Save As dialog box opens. I want to save this image into a folder that I will remember later. In Windows 95, I can do this in the Save As dialog box. I click on the Create New Folder button and type Dino Images, and then press Enter. I double-click on the Dino Images folder to open it. I want to change the default name of this file. In the File Name box, I drag to select PAL 350 and type Megalosaurid, and press Enter to save the image to my hard drive. We just downloaded an image from the web to our computer. It was easy, and as you can see, very user-friendly. We also navigated the web and along the way saved some web pages to our bookmark folder so that we can return to them later. After navigating through a few hyperlinks, you may want to refer back to a previous web page but can't remember where you saw it. One way to accomplish this is by viewing the history list located inside the Go menu. The history list is a complete list of all the pages we visited, displayed in chronological order. To view our history list, we click on Go on the menu bar, and the list opens up. The recently accessed documents are displayed with the top being our most recent location. A check mark helps to indicate our present location. We close the Go menu and use the Back toolbar button to toggle backwards through our history list, one page at a time. We click on the Go menu again, and our check mark has changed to reflect our new location. We click on the GIF image and return to the photograph we downloaded earlier. To get a history list that contains URL address information, we click on the Window menu and scroll down to select the History option. In the History window, we can grab the scroll bar to view a URL better. We'll close this box. When we end our web session and close down the Netscape program, all of the history information will be permanently erased. The history list is sort of the short-term memory of web navigating. We bookmark pages that we want to return to during different sessions. As we cruised the web, we permanently saved a few of our more interesting web pages to our bookmarks file. Now let's go back and create a file for our favorite museum bookmarks and call it Museums. First, we click on Bookmarks on the menu bar and click on the ArcNet www bookmark. Netscape takes us back to the ArcNet webpage. We click on Bookmarks again, but this time we select the Go to Bookmarks option. The Netscape Bookmarks dialog box opens up, and we see our bookmarks displayed inside a folder that Netscape has automatically labeled Scott Reynolds Bookmarks. Netscape automatically installed my name from my email address information in my Preferences menu. On the menu bar, we click on the Item menu and select the Insert Header option. The Bookmark Properties dialog box opens, and we type Museums. The word Museums has been entered into the Name text window. We click on the OK button. The dialog box closes, and we see that a Museums folder has been added to our Bookmarks file. Now we want to add our files to the folder. We click and hold the left mouse button on the ArcNet www file. We slowly drag our mouse over the Museums folder. A ghosted box appears attached to our mouse cursor, and when a box encloses the Museums folder, we release our mouse button, and the ArcNet file is moved into the Museums folder. We continue to do the same with the other files until they are all moved. We click on the File menu and select the Save As option. The Export Bookmarks to dialog box opens. We click the Up One Level button to leave the Dino Images folder. We keep the default file name of Bookmark and click on the Save button. We select the File menu and select Close to return to the main screen. Now we click on the Bookmarks menu and scroll down to the Museums header. When the Museums header is highlighted, we see that our bookmarks are now filed in an easy-to-find and logical order. Navigating with bookmarks is an efficient way to keep track of your web page treasures, but categorizing your bookmarks into easily recognizable lists helps you to keep your sanity from an overwhelming maze of hyperlinks. Now let's take bookmarking one step further. Let's create a page that contains our bookmarked list of favorite places. We open the File menu and select the Open File option. We double-click on the bookmark file. Our bookmark file opens and looks like a web page with a header and subcategories. We click on the ArcWWW hypertext word, and we are hyperlinked to our web page. Click on the Back button, and we move back again. This is not an official web page that other people can access. It is completely private. When we exit Netscape, this page will be deleted. However, our bookmarks will still be there. Another important feature of a browser are its options and preference settings. The Options menu provides several features in which we can configure the look of our browser. In the Options menu, we can also set up our browser for email and newsgroup messaging. Let's take a look at some of these preference settings in the Options menu. We click on the Options menu and select the General Preference. The Preference dialog box opens up. Inside the Appearance, Fonts, Colors, and Images folder tabs, we can find several features that we can use to configure the look of our screen. We click on the Bookmarks tab. Here we can change the destination location where Netscape will automatically store our bookmark files. The Helper Apps tab is an extremely useful feature. You can install helper applications to specific files that you wish to download. For example, Netscape was able to view and download our megalosaurid image earlier because it was a GIF image file. Netscape comes with a GIF image viewer. The same would be true with JPEG images. We don't have a TIFF image viewer installed in Netscape as indicated by the Ask User prompt. In order to view a TIFF image file, we would have to find a TIFF image viewer somewhere on the web, download it, decompress it, and install it here in the Helper Apps folder. Helper apps are there to accommodate the wide variety of video, sound, and picture files that are on the web. In most cases, you can cruise the web without ever having to go to the Helper Apps Preferences window to install a new Helper app. In addition to our general preferences, we need to configure our browser with the correct messaging preferences. Let's take a look at our email and newsgroup preferences. We close the General Preferences dialog box, click on the Options menu, and select the Mail and News option. The Mail and News Preferences dialog box opens, and we click on the Directories tab. You will need to input your SMTP and POP server information before you can send an email from Netscape. You get this information from your internet access provider. The same is true with your NNTP news server information. You can change the default mail and news directories to instruct Netscape to automatically save your mail and messages to any location you wish. We click on the Identity tab. Your name, email, and other information in this area will be attached to any outgoing messages. We close the Mail and News dialog box and return to our screen. That's it for Lesson 2. In this lesson, we learned how to get the appropriate connection to an internet access provider and looked at some good places to find one. Use a web browser. Read a Universal Resource Locator, or URL. Use histories and bookmarks to navigate and manage web documents. And how to set some important preferences. In Lesson 3, we will learn how to creatively search the web and the internet for fun and informative locations. We'll also learn how to send an email and subscribe to a news group. Searching for that hidden piece of information on the web can be pretty easy if you understand how to look for it. There are 3 basic ways to search the web. First, we can just follow a chain of hypertext strings until you find something interesting like we did earlier. Second, we can search by geographical region. A good location to save in your bookmark list is a web geographic search page called CityNet. CityNet will help to find information about cities throughout the world. Sometimes you can find guides to tourist locations, information about cultural events, maps of bus lines and subways, and even pictures and music. To get to CityNet, I block out the entire URL up to http:// and type the domain name www.city.net and press enter. This takes me to the CityNet web page. I visit France occasionally and will be visiting Bayonne, France next month. Let's see if we can find any interesting information on Bayonne. I click on France and I'm in luck. There is a category labeled Bayonne. I am also interested in the North Basque region, so I click on its hypertext word. There is a hypertext word called Carte du Pays Basque. We know that this file is a picture file because, like the dinosaur image we downloaded earlier, it has the GIF image file extension. We scroll down to see the rest of the page. The La Musique selection looks interesting. We click on La Musique and scroll down to the bottom of the page. I don't speak French, but these icons seem to suggest that these are audio files. Let's download one and listen. We double-click on the bottom file, and Netscape automatically downloads an audio file. This is where having a faster modem comes in handy. Audio and video files are very large and can take some time to download. After a while, it's finished downloading, and Netscape automatically plays the file. I can use the controls to rewind, replay, or stop this sound file. Let's take a look at another geographical searching tool called the Virtual Tourist. The Virtual Tourist contains information about websites for many countries, in addition to general information for each nation. To get to the Virtual Tourist, I drag to select the text and type wings.buffalo.edu/WORLD/ Press enter, and the Virtual Tourist web page appears. We scroll down to look at the map. The Virtual Tourist is primarily a web location service, but it works in conjunction with CityNet to help us in our searches. Clicking anywhere on the globe will take you to that part of the world. The third way to search the web is by using a searching engine, which is essentially a robot-like program. In fact, search engines are sometimes called spiders, robots, or wanderers. Once we provide a search engine with some information, it launches out onto the web looking for any resources that match the information we have provided and returns with a list of suggested resources. Because the web is so vast, we can speed up our searching session by using Boolean searches. A Boolean search uses and, or, and not in combination with your key search words to perform a search. We begin our search by clicking on the Net Search button on the directory toolbar in Netscape. The Internet search page appears, and we scroll down the page to view our selection of searching engines. Each engine has a paragraph, briefly describing its particular searching method. I want to look for dinosaurs in North America. Let's begin with the InfoSeek search engine. We type dinosaurs and North America and press enter. In a few moments, the search engine verifies my search for dinosaurs and North America and displays the first 10 of the 100 resources that it found that contain the words dinosaurs and North America. We scroll down and click on the first selection, Early Dinosaur Discoveries in North America. The web page appears, and it's exactly what I was looking for. This document contains more information about the Megalosaurus. It will go well with the image we downloaded earlier. To flag this image, we select Bookmarks, and then select Add. Had I typed dinosaurs not North America, the Boolean search would have retrieved documents that had the word dinosaurs, but not the words North America. And typing dinosaurs or North America would have retrieved documents that had either word. Each search engine uses its own philosophy on how to search and retrieve information. It's a good idea to try 2 or 3 different engines. You'll see that each search brings back differing responses. Spend a little time learning how setting specific parameters to your search can make searching the web much more productive. Every serious search should always include both the web and the internet. The marriage between multimedia and the internet spawned the popularity of the World Wide Web. With the tremendous hypermedia attractions of the web, is there any advantage to searching for resources on the less exciting, non-graphical internet? Well, the answer is definitely yes. With all its popularity, the fact is, the web is still more sizzle than sauce. Compared to the vast pool of resources that are still accessible only through the internet, the web only scratches the surface. If we don't extend our searching areas beyond the web, we are severely limiting our searches. Gopher is the most common internet searching method. Gopher is really the predecessor to the web. It's just not as interactive. Let's take a look at Gopher. We click the Net Search button in Netscape. We scroll down, and in the search criteria window, we type Gopher Search and press Enter. In the Net Search results window, we scroll down and click on Gopher Space. The library's automation service www server page appears, and we scroll down and click on all the Gopher servers in the world. Finally, we click on the All the Gopher Servers in the World folder. From this location, we can search for and access all that the internet has to offer. Notice the URL address no longer begins with the web's familiar HTTP:// protocol indicators. We are no longer accessing the web's HTTP or hypertext resources. This Gopher location is a good place to learn more about Gopher. If you are going to include the internet in your online sessions, you should become very familiar with Gopher and the other internet features such as Telnet, FTP, Waze, and the Internet Relay Chat feature where we can communicate live online and view photographs of people from other countries. Another way to communicate with people around the globe is through email or electronic mail. Let's take a look at email. I need to email a copy of the photograph of the dinosaur and its caption to Kathy back at the lab so that she can look at it when she returns. I also want to include some of the text from our search on dinosaurs of North America. I will use my Netscape email feature to send this email package to her. First, I need to open a second Netscape window so that I can arrange all of my resources together. On the menu bar, I click on Window and then select New Netscape Browser. A second browser window opens to the default Netscape web page. I can see by the icons on my Windows 95 taskbar that I now have 2 browsers running. I need to view them both, so I move my mouse pointer to the bottom right corner of my new browser window. Click and hold the left mouse button and drag to resize the window to fit roughly half the screen. Notice that as the window gets smaller, some of the toolbars disappear. But no matter how small the window gets, I can always see all of the menu bar options. I click inside the hidden browser window to make it the active window and resize it to the left side of the screen and then drag it to the right. I now have 2 separate browser windows I can use, and I am ready to gather my resources. Let's put the Early Dinosaur Discoveries of North America webpage in the left browser window. We click on Bookmarks in the left Netscape window menu bar and then scroll down to select Early Dinosaur Discoveries in North America. and the web page appears. Now, in the right browser window, we click on the Bookmarks menu, select the menu Museums, and select Important Objects. As it is loading up, we maximize the left browser window to see it better. Because this text references a talk on the Megalosaurus, I wanted to include it in my email message. I drag to select the text and the header. I click on Edit on the menu bar, and then click on the Copy option. The text is now in my clipboard. I minimize the left Netscape window. We click on the right browser window to make it active, and we scroll down until we see the photograph of the Megalosaurus and its caption. Everything is set, and I am ready to send my email. I click on File on the menu bar in the right browser window and select the New Mail Message option. The message composition dialog box opens. Netscape has automatically added my email address in the From box. In the Send To box, I type Kathy's address. I click inside the subject box and type Quite an Interesting Find. Now I need to find the photograph that I had downloaded to my computer and attach it to my email. On the toolbar at the top of the screen, I click on the Attach button, and the Mail News Attachments dialog box opens. I click on the File Radio button and click on the Browse button. Then I double-click on the Dino Images folder and then double-click on the Megalosaurid file. The string of commands inside the File window tells Netscape where to find the file on my computer. I click on the Attach button, the Mail News Attachments dialog box closes, and my GIF image file is attached to my email. I click in the text input window and type, "Hello, Kathy. This is the information on the attached photo. Let's discuss this next week when you get back. Scott." And press Return. I click in the message composition window where I want to insert the text, right-click my mouse inside the window to open the shortcut menu, and select Paste. Our mail is ready to send. I click on the Send button on the menu bar. My message and its attachments are sent. I close the message composition window. I don't need both browser windows, so I click on the Close button for the left window and click on the Maximize button in the right window. Another method of sending and receiving information is through a newsgroup. A Usenet newsgroup is a vast assembly of electronic discussion groups that communicate through email on just about any topic under the sun. When you find a subject of interest, you can subscribe to that newsgroup and automatically receive and respond to regular postings. Let's look at some of these special interest groups. On the menu bar, I click on the Window menu and then select Netscape News. The Netscape window opens, and I click on my Internet Access Provider news server to open up the list of news groups to which I subscribe. In the left window, I double-click on the Sci.Archaeology news group. Netscape locates the news group, and in a few moments, I can see a list of posted messages located in the right window. I double-click on the first message, and it appears in the lower half of the news viewing window. I click on the Next button on the Newsgroup window toolbar and advance to the next message. Notice that the previous message is no longer highlighted. This indicates that the message has been read. Messages that drop down and to the right of another message are called threaded messages. Threaded messages indicate a subject that is being discussed based on the original posted message at the top of the hierarchy. We click on the plus sign to close a threaded message path and preserve space. We're done, so we close the Netscape Newsgroup window and return to our web page. We talked about URL and email addresses and how to read one to tell where a particular resource is located. Newsgroup addresses are read the same way, but the address does not give us a location, but rather a very specific topic. For example, an address that begins with comp would be a newsgroup that discusses computers. Rec, short for recreations, discusses hobbies and sports. Sci likes to discuss science. Talk is a no-holds-barred controversy group, and so on. This list of newsgroups is vast. Let's visit the Usenet newsgroup world on the internet, where all of the newsgroups are contained. In the URL location window, we type http://sunsight.unc.edu/usenet-i/ and press enter. That brings us to the Usenet Info Center Launchpad. We have several hypertext options here. We can get help with Usenet, browse Usenet groups, launch a search for a specific group, access the Usenet facts area, and more. One note of advice regarding facts. FAQs stands for Frequently Asked Questions. If you are new to emailing and other forms of electronic messaging, it is highly recommended that you take the time to read the FAQs. There's a unique set of rules in posting and responding to messages that apply throughout the internet. Most people are friendly and helpful, but it's easy to unwittingly offend without some basic electronic messaging skills. Now let's take a look at some news groups. We click on the Browse the Usenet Groups hypertext words to see a more comprehensive list of newsgroup subjects. We're interested in scientific groups, so we scroll down to the Sci category and click on it. Now we see a variety of subjects that fall under the Sci subject heading. We click on the Sci.Archaeology subject heading and our choices are narrowed. Then we click on the Sci.Archaeology.Mesoamerican subject heading. Before we enter this news group, we are presented with some information about this topic. We click on Mesoamerican. Our Netscape news reader opens, and the news group is added to our list of news groups. However, we are only viewing this news group. We have not subscribed to it yet. We click on the box to the right of the heading. A yellow check indicates that we are now subscribers to this news group. Now every time we enter our Netscape news feature, new postings to this area will be added. We double-click on the heading, and in a moment, the postings appear in the right window. We can read and respond via our email to these messages. We are done with our web browsing session, so we close the newsgroup box and return to the Netscape window. Let's close our browser and disconnect from our internet access provider and return to our desktop. We click on File on the menu bar and click on the Exit option. Netscape Navigator closes. Remember, we are still logged on to our internet access provider, and we need to disconnect our modem. We click on the Internet Access Provider icon on our Windows taskbar and click on the Disconnect button. We are now back to our Windows desktop. That's it for Lesson 3. In this lesson, we learned how to search the web using a web search engine, access Gopher to search the internet for non-web resources, send an email and attach a picture file and text that was copied directly off the web, and how to set up a browser news feature and then find and subscribe to a Usenet news group. By now, you should have a solid idea of what the differences are between the internet, the web, and commercial online services. Also, you should know how to find a good internet access provider, how to use a web browser, how to download a picture file to your computer, what a web page and hypertext words are, and how to read URL. email, and newsgroup addresses. Surfing the web is like digging for clues from the past, full of mystery, wonder, and adventure. Use the skills you've learned in this tutorial to master the internet. And remember, be persistent. You never know what you might dig up.